Today was a doozy. Bitcoin got its all-time high and then immediately fell by $10,000. Grayscale saw huge volume. All the BTC ETFs reached a massive amount of volume today, topping out the highest daily volume ever recorded for it thus far. We've also got some big moves on the miners as well as MicroStrategy. Let's get into it and see what was happened today. So we hit the high, right? And as soon as we hit the high, I'm going to go down to the minute channel for the time frame for this little nugget here. We were at the all-time high for a total of less than a minute. Less than 1 minute. We were above the all-time high before we came crashing down, and I mean crashing down. And we crashed $10,000 before we saw any recovery in that at all. Now, that's not super bearish, actually. There we go. We're actually still looking somewhat bullish, and I'll tell you why. This daily candle actually looks good. There's this big tail at the bottom. We didn't go beneath or even get close to the 15-day moving average, and we closed at the 5-day moving average. That's a normal price movement right there. We didn't even get an engulfing bearish candle on this big bullish candle from yesterday. This is still a bullish chart. Even though that was super dramatic and super scary, this is still a bullish chart. And why I think this happened is I think that this was the same sort of thing that happened when FTX was selling back here. When we saw these big moves. We haven't seen selling volume this high since, let me remove all my drawings. We haven't seen selling volume this high since FTX was dumping all of its GBTC. See this back here? This was this big one right here. That's when they were selling for FTX, and look at us now. We're barely getting above that right now. So how long did that last? About a week and a half, and then went up. I think, and this is my personal opinion, I have no proof of this. This is purely speculation. I think that Genesis sold the remainder of its GBTC the moment this hit its top. They did $3 billion of volume today, just on GBTC, pretty much. Huge. As you can see over here, 50 million shares of this between the prices of 62 something dollars and $53 moved today. That's close to $3 billion in value moved today. Probably, could be $1 billion of outflow for all I know. I won't know till a few days from now how much outflow actually came out of GBTC, but I can tell you how much came out yesterday. According to BitMEX research, yesterday we saw $368 million of outflow coming out of GBTC. All right. How much did Genesis have to sell? They had 1.3 billion to sell. So they had 1,300,000,000 about GBTC worth to sell. And we got 300 million yesterday, still up a little bit. Today, they did $3 billion of volume. How much you want to bet that $1 billion of that was Genesis selling? We might have just seen that hold down. And if you remember when I was talking about this FTX sell-off from January 11th to the 22nd and how that was a $10,000 drop-off, and I expected a similar amount of drop-off when Genesis finally sold, we got basically exactly that amount of sell-off just today from a $1 billion dump, which is coincidentally how much FTX had to sell when they sold from January 11th to January 22nd, and they also tanked us by about $10,000 in that move. I bet you that's gone. I bet you that's flushed out of the system. And that's why this chart is still a bullish chart, because anyone paying attention down here probably remembered that and said, oh no, I better buy this now. Because you remember what happened when FTX was done selling on January 22nd? We took off. So that could be what's going on here. Now, this is just speculation. This is not financial advice, nor a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. But that's what I think happened. That is what I personally think happened. Sound off in the comments. Do you think that's what happened? Do you think something else happened? Let us know. I'm very interested in what the audience thinks about today's price action. It was quite jarring. It was quite exciting. Let's take a look here. So the ETFs did about $10 billion of volume today. You can see here, yeah, Grayscale is this orange one, and they did almost $3 billion. As you can see here, nearly $3 billion of volume. We won't know what the outflow is until later. I'll bring that to you when I have those stats. They pretty almost matched IBIT today. And IBIT today actually reached $10 billion in assets. I actually bought some IBIT today while this was falling. Near the bottom here, I was buying IBIT because I rolled a little bit of Mara into some IBIT because they're starting to diverge, and I like to cover all my bases. So that's a little tidbit of what I did today. I did some selling of Mara as it was coming down, and I was reaching a profitability zone that I was okay with still selling some Mara at, and I rolled that into IBIT is what I did today. Again, not financial advice, not a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. It's just what I'm doing and how I'm balancing my own personal portfolio. If you were in MicroStrategy today, you really suffered. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to anybody that was in that today. It was 21.21% down. Also, though, still not bearish. All we did was come back to the 5-day moving average. That's it. That's all we did. We can still bounce from here. And in fact, in the post, in after hours, we are bouncing from here. So not all is lost. We might come to the 15. That's potential. But honestly, if we come back to the 15, the up move is just going to be that much stronger. Remember this move here? We got far away from the 5 to 800, came down close to the 15 down at 680, and then launched up over what doubled in a matter of days. I mean, that's the kind of movements you get out of building this liquidity on these bad days like today. So I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm saying it is something that is a common pattern that does occur in these charts sometimes. Let's take a look at Mara. Mara has moved into bearish territory. I'm sorry, but it has. If we look into the 2-hour chart, and I get rid of these drawings, we took out this low right here. We are no longer making a higher high, higher low pattern on Marathon Digital. This is a bearish chart now. For the short term, keep that in mind. It's all in perspective. Zoom out a bit. On long-term charts, like a weekly chart, we're still very bullish. We're still pretty bullish. We are still in a pretty aggressive upward trend, even with this sell-off on the weekly. We're in this ascending channel right here, and we're coming towards the midsection of it, which is about $20, where we could very easily turn around just like we did down here back in January. We came just below the middle of this channel, hit the 200 week, and then just curled right on back up and went flying into the sky here up to $34. This is still a higher high, higher low scenario on the weekly chart. But short term, I'm saying we could potentially come to $20. If price does not turn around here and get above 23.50 again and stay above 23.50, we're looking at $20. And the way this formation is coming in right now, it does look like that could be what is going on. So right here, now, just like this, right? We did a bear flag, one little push to fake everyone out, and then came all the way down. Now with this heading in a downward direction, that's actually kind of interesting. If it starts to curl, I might start thinking cup and handle sort of scenario. But if this price comes back and kind of stays flat or slightly ascends a little bit and then comes down to cut out $22, then I'm very convinced that we're coming back down to $20, which would be right around the middle of this double bottom back here from January. Keep that in mind if you're in Mara. The chart does not look good short term. Long term still looks good. So we were down, how much were we down today? It's like 13 something percent. Yeah, we're down over 13% today. That was very brutal. We might go for this gap fill here to 2160 and turn around. But I mean, honestly, with the momentum we have from this double top here, right here on February 14th and February 29th, those double tops at $32 and $34. And now we are below the midsection of that at 22.71. That's where that was, and we're actually below that. Well, we're above it in post, but we went below it on the daily and closed. We are looking at completing the double top, which would take us down to about 1850-ish. That would be a completion of that move. Just like back here in December, where we had a double top. We crossed the middle at $20, and we came and completed the move to come back to the base of the formation, which was at $14. In this case, the base of our formation would be really $16 if we're really picking it out, but I think we'll probably find some support around 20. CleanSpark still looks it doesn't look as bad as Marathon, but it's not great. It's not great. We're kind of at this shelf right here, and we need to stay above this level right in here. We need to stay above $15 for CleanSpark. If we fail to stay above $15 for clean spark, we are absolutely, very likely, going to 1350. Go to 1350 and we don't find strong support, we could go towards this gap and potentially even see 1050 again for clean spark. In the short term, of course, in the short term. Long term, we zoom out again. Of course, when in doubt, zoom out. We're still making higher highs and higher lows. On the weekly chart, we just came back to the 5-week moving average. That's it. We got way away from it. We came back to the 5-week. That's normal. It's a normal move. Heck, it's even normal to come back down to the 15-week average here. If we stay up here long enough and come down maybe to like 13, if we come to 1350 over like the next 3 weeks and this yellow line keeps moving up, we might contact it and from there just launch off and never look back, just like we did back here. Remember this move back here in 2020? We went up, did a double top, very similar to the double top we just did right now, but this one's more exaggerated. Came back to the yellow line, launched, never looked back. So this, where we are right now in the move, is very similar to where we were in 2020 in terms of correlation to Bitcoin and all-time highs and all that stuff. So if we come back to this yellow line on the weekly, you better believe I'm bullish on that. If we come back, touch it, start curling like we did back here in 2020, we might launch off of it and never look back until we reach the peak. And then, of course, once we reach the peak, then it's just sayonara, suckers. All our money's gone if we don't get out there. So pay attention to that. Same thing on Mara. I mean, if we go back to Mara and we're on the weekly. Sorry, weekly. And we go back to 2020 times. Back here, 2020 times, we came into the 20. We didn't do this fancy double top like we did this time on Mara back then. Yes, we did, and I just can't see it because it's tiny. Is it? No, it is not tiny. It's just not there. Maybe it's on the daily chart. I'm not going to zoom in that much to look. Anyways, we went way up on the weekly chart, came down into the yellow line, and then once we launched off that yellow line, we never looked back. We never looked back till it hit a high. I don't even know what just happened to my chart. Everything disappeared. Crazy. We never looked back till we hit a high somewhere up in the 50s or something and came back down. I really don't know what just happened to my chart. There it is. We came up to a high in the 57 and then dumped and then went for our all-time high there. Not all-time high, but all-time high for that cycle. So if we come into this, and we are getting super close to it actually on Marathon, the weekly is right here. We might come just beneath it. I think we might scoop down to about 20 and then we're taking off again, I think. Again, that is just the technical analysis. Technical analysis is only about 70% correct. The rest is catalysts, news, black swan events, things that are completely out of your control. And that's that. So this could be, we could crater to 0. We could take off to 100. I really don't know for sure, but I am bullish long term. Short term, I think there was still some pain to come. That's my assessment. But, you know, hopefully you made it through the day mostly unscathed. It was a pretty scary day. It was pretty exciting as well. But, you know, please like, comment, and subscribe and have a profitable day.